Dear beloved friend, in the quiet hours between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., when the world is at rest and the distractions of the day fade into the stillness of the night, there exists a profound opportunity to connect deeply with the divine. These early morning hours hold a unique power, not just because they offer solitude, but because they open the door to a transformative experience. It is in these moments, when most people are still asleep, that the soul can reach out to God in ways that are unburdened by the chaos of everyday life. If you've ever found yourself yearning for a breakthrough, whether in your personal life, your health, your relationships, or even your spiritual walk, then these quiet moments can be your sanctuary. Perhaps you've prayed before, perhaps you've believed, but it felt as though your prayers were met with silence. But what if the key to unlocking the answers you've been waiting for lies in an unexpected place? What if it rests in these early hours of the morning when the world is still, and your heart can focus on the presence of God without distractions? This is a time like no other, where seeking God's face becomes an act of pure devotion. Rising from the comfort of sleep and setting aside personal desires to pursue the Creator between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. is a gesture of profound faith. It demonstrates a willingness to put Him above all else, even above our most basic needs, like rest. This kind of commitment is a powerful declaration that God is the center of our lives, that His presence is more important than any other comfort or necessity. The Bible is full of examples of people who met God in the stillness of the night. From Jacob, who wrestled with God until the breaking of dawn, to Jesus, who prayed fervently in the Garden of Gethsemane. These moments of solitude with God led to profound shifts not only in their lives but in the course of history. When you set aside these hours for prayer, you tap into the same transformative power that can lead to breakthroughs in your own life. It is in these moments that God can shatter barriers, break chains, and release His transformative power over you. As you embark on this journey of early morning prayer, it is important to come with an open heart and a spirit of expectancy. Believe that as you cry out to Him in these early hours, God is already at work in your life. This is not just a ritual or a routine. It is an act of faith that invites the presence of the Almighty into your circumstances. It is a time to align your heart with His, to let go of distractions, and to focus entirely on the One who has the power to change everything. The atmosphere of these early hours is unique. It is a time when the hustle and bustle of the day have faded, and the demands of tomorrow have not yet begun to press upon you. In this stillness, you can hear God's voice more clearly, free from the noise and chaos that often cloud our spiritual senses. Sacrificing your sleep to seek His presence shows a deep hunger for God, a longing that surpasses the need for comfort and convenience. It is a declaration that nothing in this world is more important than your relationship with Him. When you rise in these early hours, you are making a statement. God comes first. You are declaring that your love for Him is greater than your need for sleep, that your desire to seek Him surpasses any earthly craving, and in return, God meets you in that place. He moves mightily on your behalf, opening doors that were once closed, breaking through obstacles that seemed impossible to overcome. He rewards those who diligently seek Him, and His blessings flow into every area of your life. What should you pray for in these sacred moments? First, pray for a deeper understanding of who God is. Ask Him to reveal His character, His nature, and His ways to you. As you gaze upon His majesty, your faith will grow stronger, and your perspective on life will be transformed. Seek a fresh outpouring of the Holy Spirit in your life. You need His power, His guidance, and His wisdom to navigate the challenges you face. Ask Him to fill you anew, to empower you for service, and to help you bear fruit that will last. Additionally, intercession is a vital part of these early morning prayers. It is a time when you can stand in the gap for your family, friends, community, and nation. You can pray for salvation, healing, restoration, and breakthrough for those who need it most. In this role, you become a channel of God's love and grace, partnering with Him in His redemptive work on earth. Through your prayers, you can help bring healing to the hurting, freedom to the bound, and hope to the hopeless. But perhaps the most profound reason to pray during these early hours is the opportunity for intimate communion with God. In these quiet moments, you can pour out your heart to Him, sharing your deepest fears, your greatest dreams, and your most desperate needs. You can listen for His voice, receive His direction, and find comfort in His presence. There is a peace that comes in these moments, a peace that surpasses understanding and fills your heart with hope for the future. Of course, praying at 3 a.m. is not easy. It requires discipline, sacrifice, and perseverance, but the rewards are worth every effort. When you make room for God in the night, He will make room for you in the day. He will go before you, preparing the way and opening doors that no man can shut. He will fight your battles, provide for your needs, and lead you into the abundant life He has promised. So rise early, seek His face, and watch as He moves mightily in your life. As you pray during these early hours, declare His promises over your life. Speak victory over every challenge, every obstacle, and every stronghold. Believe that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can ask or think. Trust that He is working all things together for your good and His glory. And when the breakthroughs come, when the miracles happen, and the answers arrive, don't forget to give Him the glory. Testify of His goodness, and let your life be a witness to His faithfulness. When you give God the glory, He will continue to do great and mighty things in your life. This is a sacred time, a moment when heaven and earth meet, and the impossible becomes possible. It is an opportunity to align your heart with the heart of God, to receive His revelation, and to partner with Him in His divine purposes. As we rise to meet this challenge, let us set aside our comfort and convenience. Let us lay aside our excuses, our hesitations, and the distractions that vie for our attention, and let us pursue God with all of our hearts. This pursuit is not just a passing moment, it is a declaration of faith, a commitment to prioritize God above everything else. It's about daring to believe in His promises, daring to trust that He is able to move mountains, and daring to pray boldly for His kingdom to come on earth as it is in heaven. This faith is active, alive, and powerful. It is the kind of faith that seeks God in the hidden places, that calls on Him when no one else is watching, and that believes His power will be revealed in unexpected ways. As you begin to pray in the early hours, let your heart be fully open to His presence. Don't allow fear, doubt, or the distractions of life to cloud your mind. Instead, focus entirely on Him. Let your thoughts dwell on His goodness, His mercy, and His unfailing love. Speak to Him from the depth of your soul, knowing that He hears every word, sees every tear, and knows every desire of your heart. There is nothing hidden from Him, and He is faithful to respond to the cries of His children. The beauty of these moments lies in the stillness. In the early hours, when the rest of the world is asleep, there is a quiet peace that settles over the earth. It is in this peace that you can encounter God in a way that is unhurried, undistracted, and deeply personal. This is a time of surrender, where you lay down your worries, your plans, and your desires at His feet. and trust that His plans for you are greater than anything you could ever imagine. As you come before Him, ask for a fresh revelation of His nature. Seek to know Him more deeply, to understand His heart, and to align your life with His will. This is a time to press into His presence, to seek His face, and to be transformed by His glory. The more you know God, the more your life will reflect His goodness, and the more your faith will grow. In these early morning hours, let your prayers be filled with a desire to know Him, to love Him, and to be closer to Him. There is power in praying during these early hours. But that power is not just in the act of prayer itself. It is in the connection you form with God. It is in the way your heart begins to mirror His, the way your desires begin to align with His will, and the way your life begins to change as a result. The more time you spend in His presence, the more you will become like Him. And as you become more like Him, His power will flow through you in greater and greater measure. Another important aspect of these prayers is intercession. This is a time not only to pray for your own needs, but also to stand in the gap for others. There is a unique power in praying for others, in lifting them up before God, and in asking Him to move in their lives. As you intercede for your family, your friends, your community, and even for people you don't know, you become a vessel of God's love and grace. Your prayers have the power to change lives, to bring healing, and to release God's blessings into the world. When you pray for others, you are partnering with God in His work of redemption. You are joining with Him to bring hope to the hopeless, healing to the broken, and freedom to those who are bound. This is a high calling, and it is one that requires faith, perseverance, and love. As you pray for those who are struggling, for those who are hurting, and for those who are lost, you are participating in God's plan to bring salvation and restoration to the world. In these early morning hours, you have the opportunity to pour out your heart to God, not just for yourself, but for the people you love and for the world around you. This is a time to ask for His intervention, for His mercy, and for His grace to be poured out in abundance. It is a time to believe that He is able to do more than we could ever ask or imagine, and to trust that He will move mightily on behalf of those for whom we pray. Intimacy with God is one of the greatest gifts of prayer. In the quiet of the early morning, you can experience a closeness with Him that is unlike anything else. This is a time when you can speak to Him as a friend, share your heart, and listen for His voice. It is a time to lay down your burdens, to rest in His presence, and to allow Him to minister to your soul. There is healing in His presence, and there is peace that transcends all understanding. Praying at 3 a.m. is not about following a formula or performing a ritual. It is about relationship. It is about drawing near to God, not because you have to, but because you want to. It is about seeking Him, not for what He can give you, but for who He is. It is about knowing Him more, loving Him more, and becoming more like Him. And as you do, your life will be transformed in ways you never thought possible. You will find that as you make time for God, He will make time for you. As you prioritize Him, He will prioritize you. He will go before you in ways you can't see, preparing the way, making paths straight, and opening doors that were once closed. He will fight your battles, provide for your needs, and lead you into a place of abundance and blessing. This is the power of 3 a.m. prayers. It is a power that comes not from the act of waking up early, but from the connection you make with the Creator of the universe. It is a power that flows from intimacy with God, from knowing Him deeply and trusting Him completely. And it is a power that can transform your life, your family, and even the world. As you rise early and seek God's face, declare His promises over your life. Speak life over every area that feels dead. Speak hope over every area of despair, and speak victory over every battle you face. Trust that God is working on your behalf, even when you can't see it, even when you don't feel it. Believe that He is able to do the impossible, and that He is faithful to fulfill every promise He has made. When the breakthroughs come, and they will come, remember to give God all the glory. Testify of His goodness. Tell others about the miracles He has done, and let your life be a reflection of His faithfulness. For as you give Him glory, He will continue to do even greater things in your life. This journey of prayer is not always easy. There will be days when you are tired, when you don't feel like waking up early, when you are tempted to stay in bed. But remember that the reward is worth the sacrifice. Remember that when you make room for God in the night, He will make room for you in the day. He will go before you, preparing the way, opening doors, and leading you into the abundant life He has promised. So set your alarm, rise early, and meet with God in the secret place. Don't let the enemy convince you that you're too tired, too busy, or too unworthy. Remember that God rewards those who diligently seek Him, and He is waiting to pour out His blessings upon you. As you pray, declare His promises over your life. Claim victory over every challenge, every obstacle, and every stronghold. Believe that He is able to do exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you can ask or think. And when the breakthroughs come, when the miracles happen, and when the answers arrive, don't forget to give Him the praise and the honor. Testify of His goodness, and let your life be a living witness of His faithfulness. For when we give God the glory, He will continue to do great and mighty things in and through us. This is a sacred time, a holy moment when heaven and earth collide, and the impossible becomes possible. It is an opportunity to align your heart with the heart of God, to receive His revelation, and to partner with Him in His purposes. So let us rise to the challenge. My dear friends, let us set aside our comfort, our convenience, and our excuses, and let us pursue God with all our hearts. Blank, underscore, blank. As we continue this journey of devotion, let us remember that every step we take toward God draws us closer to His heart. The early hours of the morning, though demanding in discipline and sacrifice, offer a unique opportunity to experience His presence in a profound way. This is not just about setting aside time, it is about setting apart our hearts. It is about acknowledging that God deserves the very best of us, even when that means rising from our beds when the rest of the world sleeps. We must come before Him with an expectant heart, knowing that our prayers are not in vain. As we pour out our souls to Him, He hears us. As we lift our petitions, He answers, even when the answers seem delayed or when the silence seems long. We must remember that God's timing is perfect. He is never late, and His answers are always right on time, even when we don't understand them in the moment. In the early hours, when distractions are at their lowest, we can commune with God without the interruptions that often plague our day. This sacred time offers us the chance to reflect, to meditate, and to truly listen. For in prayer, it is not just about what we say, it is also about what we hear. God's voice, though often gentle and quiet, speaks to the depths of our souls, offering us guidance, wisdom, and peace. It is in these moments that He reveals His plans for us, His desires for our lives, and the steps we must take in obedience. Prayer at 3 a.m. requires dedication. It is not a casual endeavor but an intentional act of drawing closer to the Creator. There will be mornings when you feel tired, when the weight of the day before or the concerns of the day ahead press heavily on you. But in these moments, remember that it is precisely when we are weak that God's strength is made perfect. He meets us in our weariness, lifts us up, and infuses us with the energy and vitality we need to continue. As you persist in this practice, you will find that prayer becomes not a duty, but a delight. What begins as a discipline transforms into a time of refreshment, where your soul is rejuvenated in the presence of God. It is in these moments that you will experience breakthroughs, not just in the circumstances of your life, but in your understanding of who God is and how deeply He cares for you. In addition to the personal breakthroughs you may seek, there is tremendous power in praying for others. Intercession, praying on behalf of others, is one of the most selfless acts of love we can offer. When we lift up the needs of our family, our friends, and even strangers, we partner with God in bringing His grace and mercy into their lives. There is something deeply humbling and powerful about standing in the gap for someone else, asking God to move in their circumstances as He has moved in yours. When we pray for others, we also experience the joy of seeing God work in ways we could never imagine. We witness healing, restoration, and transformation, not just in our own lives but in the lives of those around us. As we intercede, we align ourselves with God's heart for humanity, and we become vessels of His love and compassion. Let us also remember the importance of gratitude in our prayers. As we ask God for breakthroughs, let us not forget to thank Him for the many ways He has already blessed us. Gratitude opens the door to more blessings. When we thank God for what He has done, we remind ourselves of His faithfulness, and we position ourselves to receive even more of His goodness. The practice of gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have. It helps us see that even in difficult times, God is at work. It reminds us that His hand is always guiding us, even when we don't see it. As we cultivate a spirit of thankfulness, we become more aware of His presence in every moment of our lives, and we begin to see His fingerprints on everything we do. As you continue to pray during these early hours, allow your prayers to be infused with hope. Hope is the anchor of our souls, grounding us in the knowledge that God is in control. Even when life feels uncertain, hope reminds us that no matter what we face, God is bigger, He is stronger, and He is always working for our good. When the circumstances of life seem overwhelming, hope is what keeps us moving forward. It is what allows us to lift our eyes from the difficulties in front of us and place them firmly on the One who holds all things in His hands. Hope is not just wishful thinking. It is a confident expectation in the promises of God. And as we pray with hope, we declare that we trust God to fulfill His word, no matter how long it takes. Hope also gives us the courage to dream. It allows us to believe that the future holds more than just what we see in the present. With hope, we can ask God for the impossible, knowing that with Him, nothing is beyond reach. We can pray bold prayers, trusting that He is able to do far more than we could ever ask or imagine. Let your prayers be filled with faith, believing that as you seek God, He is already moving on your behalf. As you speak His promises over your life, let your words be filled with the assurance that God is faithful. He does not abandon His children, and He will never leave you or forsake you. Even when the path ahead seems unclear, trust that He is guiding you step by step. Remember, too, that prayer is not just about asking for what we need. It is about aligning our hearts with God's will. As you pray, ask Him to show you His desires for your life. Ask Him to reveal the areas where you need to grow, where you need to surrender, and where you need to trust Him more. Prayer is a two-way conversation, and as you seek Him, be open to what He wants to teach you. In these early morning hours, as you sit in His presence, you will find that your perspective begins to change. The worries and concerns that once seemed overwhelming will begin to fade in the light of His glory. The mountains you face will no longer seem insurmountable, because you will be reminded that the God you serve is greater than any obstacle. His power is unmatched, His wisdom is infinite, and His love for you is beyond measure. This time of prayer is an invitation to experience God in a deeper way. It is a chance to lay aside the busyness of life and focus entirely on Him. In these moments, you will find rest for your soul, peace for your mind, and strength for your body. You will be reminded that you are not walking through life alone, but that God is with you every step of the way. As you rise early and seek Him, you are planting seeds of faith that will bear fruit in every area of your life. These moments of prayer may not always yield immediate results, but over time, you will see the harvest. You will see how God has been working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for your good and His glory. Prayer is powerful, not because of the words we speak, but because of the God we serve. As you continue to commit to these early morning prayers, know that you are not just speaking into the air. You are communicating with the Creator of the universe. He hears every word, and He responds. He moves on your behalf, even when you can't see it. As you pray, ask God to open your eyes to see where He is already at work in your life. Ask Him to give you the faith to trust Him, even in the midst of uncertainty. And as you wait for your breakthrough, continue to press into His presence, knowing that He is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. Each day, as you rise early to pray, remember that you are not alone. Countless others around the world are also seeking God in these quiet hours, joining together in a chorus of prayer that reaches heaven. Together, we are the body of Christ, and our prayers are powerful. As we lift our voices in unison, we are building a wall of faith that cannot be shaken. We are all part of a larger tapestry, woven together by the threads of faith, prayer, and devotion. When we rise to pray in the stillness of the early morning, we contribute to something far greater than ourselves. Our prayers become part of a symphony, joining with the prayers of believers everywhere, creating a powerful harmony that reaches the very throne of God. This is not merely an individual act, it is part of a collective movement toward the divine, where each voice matters, where each prayer has the potential to bring about change, both seen and unseen. As you continue this practice of early morning prayer, know that you are growing stronger, both spiritually and emotionally. There is a resilience that is built in the quiet hours when you seek God despite the weariness. Despite the temptation to stay in bed, this resilience strengthens your faith and prepares you to face the challenges of the day with a spirit of confidence and peace. You will find that as you seek God first in these early hours, the worries and anxieties that once seemed overwhelming are now manageable. His peace, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind, allowing you to move through the day with a sense of calm and assurance. The practice of prayer is not about perfection, it is about persistence. There will be days when you may feel distracted, when your mind may wander, or when the words don't come as easily. But even in those moments, your commitment to show up, to be present before God, matters. He honors your efforts, even when they feel small. Prayer is not about saying all the right things or having all the answers. It is about opening your heart to God and allowing Him to meet you where you are. One of the most powerful aspects of prayer is that it invites God into the ordinary moments of our lives. It transforms the mundane into the sacred. As you seek Him in the early hours, you will begin to see His hand at work in the details of your day. The conversations you have, the decisions you make, the thoughts that cross your mind, these are all opportunities for God to speak. to guide, and to move. Prayer opens your eyes to His presence, reminding you that He is not just a distant deity but a close and personal God who is actively involved in your life. As you develop the habit of early morning prayer, you will also find that your relationship with God deepens in ways you never expected. The more time you spend with Him, the more you will come to understand His character, His love, and His will for your life. You will begin to see that He is not only the God of miracles but also the God of the everyday. He is the God who walks with you through the valleys and rejoices with you on the mountaintops. He is the God who listens when you cry out in desperation and the God who celebrates with you when your prayers are answered. But what happens when the answers don't come right away? What happens when the breakthrough you've been praying for seems distant? This is where faith steps in. Faith is trusting in God's timing, even when it doesn't align with your own. It is believing that He is at work, even when you don't see the evidence right away. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And as you continue to pray, your faith will grow stronger, because you will learn to trust that God's plans are always good, even when they don't unfold the way you expected. In the waiting, there is growth. In the silence, there is strength being built. God is not ignoring your prayers. He is preparing you for something greater. Every prayer you lift up is like a seed planted in the ground. You may not see the growth immediately, but in time, the fruit will appear. And when it does, it will be far more abundant and beautiful than you could have imagined. This is the promise of God. He is faithful to complete the work He has started in you. As you continue this journey of early morning prayer, don't be afraid to bring your doubts, your fears, and your questions to God. He is big enough to handle them. In fact, He welcomes them. Prayer is not about pretending that everything is okay. It is about bringing your true self to God and allowing Him to meet you in your vulnerability. When you are honest with Him, you create space for Him to work in the deepest parts of your heart. And it is in those places that He does His most transformative work. When you are consistent in prayer, you begin to see that your relationship with God is not transactional, it is relational. You don't come to Him just to get something, you come to Him to be with Him. And as you spend time in His presence, you will find that your desires begin to change. The things that once seemed so important will begin to fade, and His desires will become your desires. You will find that the more time you spend with Him, the more you want to align your life with His will. In the early morning hours, as the world around you remains quiet, you have the unique opportunity to experience God in a way that is unhurried and undistracted. This is a time of intimacy, where you can pour out your heart to Him, share your deepest concerns, and listen for His voice. It is in these moments that you will discover the depth of His love for you, a love that is not based on your performance, but on who you are as His child. As you grow in your relationship with God, you will also find that your prayers become more powerful. This is not because you have mastered the art of prayer, but because you have learned to pray in alignment with His will. When your heart is aligned with God's heart, your prayers become a reflection of His desires, and you will begin to see His power at work in ways you never imagined. This kind of prayer is not about asking for things. It is about asking for God Himself. It is about seeking His face, not just His hand. And as you do, you will experience the fullness of joy that comes from being in His presence. The Bible tells us that in God's presence, there is fullness of joy, and at His right hand, there are pleasures forevermore. This is the gift of prayer. It brings us into the presence of the one who loves us more than we could ever comprehend. As you continue to pray in the early morning hours, remember that this is not just a time to ask for things, but a time to listen. God speaks to us in many ways. And often, it is in the quiet moments that we hear him most clearly. He may speak through his word, through the still, small voice in your heart, or through the circumstances of your life. Whatever the method, be open to hearing his voice, and be willing to follow wherever he leads. In these moments of stillness, you will also find that God begins to give you clarity and direction. The decisions that once seemed difficult will become clearer as you align your heart with his. The path that once seemed uncertain will begin to unfold before you. This is the beauty of prayer. It not only changes our circumstances, but it also changes us. It transforms the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves, and the way we see God. As you continue to commit for these early morning prayers, be encouraged that you are not alone. God is with you, and he is for you. He delights in your prayers, and he is eager to meet you in the quiet moments of the morning. As you seek him, you will find him, and as you draw near to him, he will draw near to you. This journey of prayer is one of the most rewarding and transformative journeys you can take. It will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. So rise early, seek God with all your heart, and watch as he moves mightily in your life. The breakthroughs you have been waiting for are on the way, and the miracles you have been praying for are already unfolding. Trust in God's timing, believe in his promises, and continue to seek him in the early hours of the morning. As you do, you will discover the true power of prayer, the power to change your life, to transform your circumstances, and to bring you into a deeper relationship with the one who created you. This is the power of early morning prayers. This is the power of seeking God first. And this is the power that will carry you through every season of life. From the valleys to the mountaintops, from the struggles to the victories. So let us continue to pray, with faith, with hope, and with expectation. Let us continue to seek God in the stillness of the night, knowing that he is always near, always listening, and always ready to move. And let us never forget that in the quiet hours of the morning, we have the privilege of meeting with the God of the universe, who loves us, who cares for us, and who is faithful to fulfill every promise he has made. As you move forward in this journey of seeking God in the quiet hours of the morning, know that this sacred practice is about so much more than just discipline. It's about developing a lifestyle that places God at the center of everything you do. Early morning prayer is not simply an activity, but an invitation to immerse yourself in his presence before the demands of the day take over. These quiet moments, free from distractions, allow you to build a deeper connection with him, which will sustain you through whatever challenges lie ahead. Over time, as you continue to engage in this practice, it becomes a rhythm, a spiritual rhythm that guides your life. The more you return to God in the early morning, the more you will find yourself seeking him throughout the day. Your prayers in the stillness will begin to shape your thoughts, your attitudes, and your actions. You will find that the peace you experience in these early hours carries with you into every interaction, every decision, and every challenge. There is something profoundly powerful about beginning your day with God. When you prioritize him first, everything else falls into place. The issues that once seemed insurmountable are now seen through the lens of his sovereignty. The concerns that once overwhelmed you no longer carry the same weight, because you know that God is in control. By surrendering your day to him before it even begins, you allow him to go before you, making the crooked paths straight and guiding your steps in his wisdom. In these early morning prayers, you have the opportunity to surrender your worries, your plans, and your desires to God. As you lay them at his feet, you will find that he replaces them with his peace and his purpose. This is not a time to rush through a list of requests, but a time to linger in His presence, allowing Him to shape your heart and your mind. As you wait on Him, you will discover a new depth of intimacy with the one who knows you better than anyone else. One of the beautiful things about prayer is that it is a conversation, a two-way dialogue between you and God. As much as He delights in hearing your voice, He also longs to speak to you. In the quiet of the early morning, when your mind is clear and your heart is open, you are in the perfect position to hear His voice, whether through His word, through a gentle prompting in your spirit, or through the circumstances around you. God is always speaking. The question is, are you listening? It is easy to come to God with our list of needs. But how often do we pause to listen to what He has to say? How often do we create space in our prayers for Him to respond? In these early hours, let your prayer time be a space where you not only speak but also listen. As you quiet your heart before Him, you will be amazed at the clarity, direction, and wisdom He offers. His voice brings peace, assurance, and guidance that no other source can provide. There is a reason why so many of the great figures in the Bible sought God in the quiet hours of the night and early morning. It is during these times that the distractions of life fade away, and we can encounter God in a deeply personal way. Jesus Himself often rose early to pray, setting the example for us. If the Son of God, who is perfect in every way, needed to spend time in prayer, how much more do we, His followers, need to do the same? As you continue in this practice, you will find that your relationship with God deepens in ways you never thought possible. The more time you spend with Him, the more you will come to know His heart. You will begin to understand His desires for your life, His plans for your future, and His love for you. This intimacy with God is not something that can be rushed. It is something that grows over time, nurtured by consistent, heartfelt prayer. In addition to deepening your relationship with God, early morning prayer has the power to transform every aspect of your life. As you bring your needs, your worries, and your desires before Him, you invite Him to move in ways that are beyond your understanding. The Bible tells us that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. This means that when you pray, you are tapping into a power that is greater than anything you can imagine. Do not be afraid to pray bold prayers. Do not hesitate to ask God for the impossible, for He is a God of miracles. He is not limited by our circumstances, and He is not confined by the boundaries of this world. When you bring your requests before Him, do so with the confidence that He is able to do far more than you could ever dream. Trust in His power and believe that He is working all things together for your good. At the same time, remember that prayer is not just about asking for what we want. It is about aligning our hearts with God's will. As you seek Him in the early morning, ask Him to shape your desires so that they reflect His. Ask Him to give you the wisdom to know when to ask and when to wait. Ask Him to give you the strength to trust His timing, even when it doesn't match your own. There will be times when the answer to your prayers is not what you expected. There will be moments when God's response is not immediate, and you are left waiting. But it is in these moments of waiting that your faith is strengthened. It is in the waiting that you learn to trust God, not just for what He can do, but for who He is. And as you wait, you can be confident that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything according to His perfect plan. In these early morning prayers, you have the opportunity to lift up not only your own needs but also the needs of others. Intercession is a powerful aspect of prayer, and it allows you to partner with God in bringing His kingdom to earth. When you pray for others, you are participating in His work of redemption, healing, and restoration. You are standing in the gap for those who cannot pray for themselves. and you are asking God to move in their lives in ways that only He can. As you intercede for others, you will find that your own heart begins to change. You will become more compassionate, more empathetic, and more aware of the needs around you. Prayer has the power to soften our hearts, to open our eyes to the suffering of others, and to move us to action. When we pray for others, we are not just speaking words into the air. We are engaging in a spiritual battle on their behalf, asking God to intervene in their circumstances and to bring about His will. Intercession also has a way of shifting our perspective. When we focus on the needs of others, our own problems often seem smaller. We are reminded that we are part of a larger story, and that God is at work in ways we cannot always see. As you lift up others in prayer, you are participating in the work of the kingdom, and you are becoming a vessel of God's love and grace to those around you. In addition to interceding for others, let your early morning prayers be filled with gratitude. Thanksgiving is a vital part of prayer, and it has the power to transform your outlook on life. When you thank God for what He has done, you remind yourself of His faithfulness, and you position your heart to receive even more of His blessings. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, and it allows you to see God's hand at work in every aspect of your life. There is always something to be thankful for, even in the midst of difficulty. As you rise early to pray, take time to thank God for the many ways He has blessed you. Thank Him for the breath in your lungs, for the roof over your head, for the people in your life. Thank Him for His love, His grace, and His provision. As you cultivate a spirit of gratitude, you will find that your heart becomes more attuned to His goodness, and your faith is strengthened. Thanksgiving also has a way of drawing us closer to God. When we acknowledge His hand in our lives, we become more aware of His presence, and our relationship with Him deepens. Gratitude opens the door to greater intimacy with the one who loves us unconditionally. And it reminds us that we are not walking through life alone. God is with us, and He is for us. As you continue to pray in the early morning, be encouraged that every moment you spend with God is valuable. Every prayer you lift up is heard, and every need you bring before Him matters. You are not wasting time. You are investing in your relationship with the Creator of the universe. And as you seek Him with all your heart, you will find that He is faithful to meet you where you are, to guide you, and to lead you into His perfect will. So continue to rise early, continue to seek Him in the quiet hours of the morning, and continue to trust that He is working in your life in ways you cannot yet see. The breakthroughs you have been praying for are on the way. The miracles you have been asking for are already unfolding. Trust in God's timing, believe in His goodness, and continue to press into His presence. For it is in these moments of prayer that your life will be transformed, and you will experience the fullness of His love and grace. As you rise in the early hours, remember that this time is not only about seeking answers to your prayers, but about seeking God Himself. It is in the quiet, undisturbed moments of communion with Him that you will find strength, comfort, and direction for your life. You may not always receive an immediate answer, but you will always receive His peace, His presence, and His reassurance that He is with you, walking beside you through every trial and triumph. These early morning hours are a divine gift, a time set apart for you to experience the nearness of God in a way that the busyness of the day often overshadows. In these moments, you are invited to rest in His presence, to be still and know that He is God. You can lay down your fears, your burdens, and your uncertainties, knowing that He holds all things in His hands and that nothing is beyond His control. As you continue this practice, you will find that your life begins to change in ways that go beyond the specific prayers you are lifting up. You will become more attuned to the voice of God, more aware of His hand in every aspect of your life. The peace you find in the early morning will follow you throughout the day, carrying you through every challenge with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are deeply loved by the Creator of the universe. Do not be discouraged if the changes you hope for do not happen overnight. Prayer is not a magic formula that instantly grants us our desires. It is a process, a relationship, and a journey. It requires patience, perseverance, and trust. As you continue to seek God in the early hours, you are laying the foundation for a life that is rooted in faith and grounded in His love. Every moment you spend in prayer is a seed planted in the soil of your soul. And in time, those seeds will bear fruit, fruit that will last, fruit that will change not only your life but the lives of those around you. When you make prayer a priority, you invite God into every aspect of your life. You give Him room to move in ways that you may not even realize. You open the door for Him to work miracles, to bring healing, to provide clarity, and to lead you in the paths of righteousness. Prayer is the key that unlocks the doors of heaven and releases the blessings that God has stored up for you. In these early morning prayers, you are not just asking for God's hand, you are seeking His face. You are seeking a relationship with the one who knows you better than anyone else, the one who created you and has a purpose and plan for your life. As you spend time in His presence, you will come to understand that His plans for you are far greater than anything you could imagine. He has dreams for your life that go beyond your wildest expectations. And as you align your heart with His, you will begin to see those dreams unfold. There is no substitute for time spent with God. There is no shortcut to intimacy with the Creator. It is in the quiet hours of prayer, when the rest of the world is asleep, that you will find the depth of relationship that your soul longs for. This is not just about getting answers, it is about getting God. It is about knowing Him more, loving Him more, and becoming more like Him. As you continue to rise early and seek Him, you will find that your desires begin to shift. The things that once seemed so important will pale in comparison to the joy of knowing God. You will find that your prayers become less about asking for things and more about aligning your life with His will. You will begin to pray, not just for what you want, but for what He wants. And as you do, you will experience a new level of freedom, a new depth of peace, and a new sense of purpose. Do not underestimate the power of these early morning prayers. Even when you feel tired, even when the words don't come easily, know that God sees your heart. He sees your desire to seek Him, and He honors that. Every prayer you lift up is heard, and every need you bring before Him matters. He is the God who sees you, who knows you, and who loves you with an everlasting love. In the Bible, we are reminded that God rewards those who diligently seek Him. As you continue to seek Him in the early hours, trust that He is working in your life in ways you cannot yet see. He is preparing you for the blessings He has in store, and He is shaping you into the person He created you to be. The journey of prayer is one of transformation, of becoming more like Christ, of surrendering your will to His, and of growing in your relationship with the one who holds all things in His hands. And as you grow in your relationship with God, you will find that the breakthroughs you have been praying for will come, not always in the way you expect, but in the way that is best for you. God's timing is perfect, and His plans for your life are good. As you continue to seek Him, you will see His hand at work in every area of your life. From your relationships to your career, from your health to your finances. But beyond the specific answers to your prayers, the greatest gift of early morning prayer is the gift of God Himself. To know Him, to be known by Him, and to walk in intimate relationship with Him. That is the greatest treasure of all. It is in these quiet, undisturbed moments of communion with God that you will find your true identity, your true purpose, and your true joy. So as you continue to rise early, as you continue to seek God in the stillness of the morning, let your heart be filled with hope and expectation. Know that He is with you, that He is for you, and that He is working all things together for your good. Trust in His promises, believe in His goodness, and continue to press into His presence. For it is in these moments of prayer that you will experience the fullness of His love, the depth of His grace, and the power of His presence. In conclusion, let this journey of prayer be a lifelong pursuit. Let it be a daily reminder that you are never alone, that God is always with you, and that His love for you is unchanging. As you rise early each morning to seek His face, know that you are stepping into the divine, into the holy, into the presence of the one who holds your life in His hands. And as you do, may your life be forever changed by the power of His love. Keep praying, keep believing, and keep trusting that God is working in your life in ways you cannot yet see. The breakthrough is coming, and the best is yet to come. This is the power of early morning prayer. This is the power of seeking God first. And this is the power that will carry you through every season of life. From the valleys to the mountaintops, from the struggles to the victories, may your life be a living testimony of God's grace, His goodness, and His faithfulness, and may you never cease to seek Him with all your heart, knowing that when you do, you will find Him, and in Him, you will find everything you need.